When I was 19, basically, I had an experience that confirmed that I have bipolar disorder, which at the time was my biggest fear in the world. And it was so pivotal for me because at that moment, I knew I had a choice. I could either go the traditional route and be put on medication that I would need to take every day for the rest of my life, which I was not open to, or I could find out how to truly heal in a natural way.
Welcome to another episode of WyzeCast, the show that elevates voices, shines the light, showcases the gifts of our heart-centered guests, and amplifies the positive differences they are making in the world. I am super excited about today's guest. She is a holistic mental wellness coach who empowers high achievers to heal their minds naturally so they can overcome anxiety, step into self-love and confidence, and feel like themselves again. Her personal experience naturally healing from anxiety, depression, disordered eating, substance abuse, as well as her experience mastering living with bipolar disorder has led her to her calling of guiding you to heal your own mind. After graduating with honors with a degree in both biology and psychology, our guest today has created a program called 8 Simple Steps to Naturally Heal Anxiety, where she takes you on a step-by-step journey of healing your mind medication-free. Using her personal experience combined with scientific data and age-old wisdom, this program is perfectly tailored to help you build a lifestyle that facilitates your healing journey. My name is Melanie McSally, your host for today, and without further ado, I would like to give a warm welcome to the inspirational, the talented, and the thoughtful Carleigh Burns. Carleigh is joining us from California, but spends most of her time in Australia. Carleigh, thank you so much for being here today. We are so delighted to have you on our show.
Thank you for that awesome introduction. It's such an honor to be here. I'm so grateful and so pleasured.
The pleasure is mine, Carleigh. So I touched upon your journey in your introduction, but I'd love to dive into that a little bit more. How did your journey with mental health lead you to become a coach?
So obviously that is the path that I chose, and I really dove deep into the healing of my mind, into finding natural modalities that would work for me, into testing out every little thing. And I found something that worked. So I've known from a very young age, from the age of 20, that it's my calling to guide people towards naturally healing their minds in the ways that I've found healing. And I didn't know what that was going to look like at the time. I knew that I didn't want to be a traditional therapist. So somewhere along my journey, I found the career of coaching, and it just felt so right that that is what I have moved into.
Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your story. Many years ago, I was hospitalized, the details of which are irrelevant. But as a result of my time in the hospital, as well as my illness, I found myself suffering from brain fog. I didn't know what it was at the time. I didn't even know that brain fog was an actual condition. So I didn't know what was going on with me. All I knew was that I could not perform my work duties. At the time, I was an IT executive. I was known for my intelligence. I was known for my attention to detail and problem-solving skills. And I remember after being reprimanded yet again for a stupid mistake, I found myself home crying, wondering what was going on, if I was ever going to heal, if my brain was permanently damaged. I was feeling like, what am I going to do if I don't have my brain? I was feeling like I'd lost a piece of my identity. I remember feeling so devastated. When the doctors finally diagnosed me, they admitted that they didn't know how long it would take, but they were confident that I would heal. So that was reassuring. Flipping back over to you, I find it incredibly inspiring that you took it upon yourself to find alternative ways of confronting your illness because the brain is so unknown. I love that you didn't settle for the treatment proposed since it wasn't working for you or you didn't want it. I love that you instead searched for what would work for you. It's amazing to me that you've taken it even a step further and are now helping others do the same.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So, have you noticed any common trends or challenges that people face when trying to find this sort of healing?
Yeah, so something that I noticed that's really common, especially in our Western culture, is that people like to think of the mind as this separate thing, like the brain is functioning apart from the rest of the body. And this is such a common thing when it comes to pharmaceutical medication as well, as it tends to target one aspect of our mind. It tends to just target, the chemical imbalance that might be happening in our mind. Whereas in reality, to find true healing, we need to look at the body, mind, and spirit as all parts of this one entity that makes up you. So the thing that I find that people often struggle with is thinking about how the body actually affects the mind, how our digestive system and our mind are so interlinked, how exercise affects the mind, how all of these different parts of our lifestyle and of what we're doing to ourselves as a whole are actually impacting our mental health. When we bring it back to that piece of connectivity and start to recognize that every moment in your day has the potential to be healing and to lift you up or to be hurtful and bring you down, then we can start to really recognize what it actually means to be on a healing journey.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. We know our mind, body, and soul are all connected. So why not look at the whole when looking to heal the parts? So, how did you ultimately manage to find healing despite all of the challenges you were facing in your mind?
Looking back, it feels like everything along my journey has just happened so naturally and just really effortlessly fallen into place. When I had that experience, that pivotal moment when I found out I had bipolar disorder, it was at a time in my life where I was about to go down to New Zealand and have this university exchange for my third year of study. And it was a really opportune time for me to essentially reinvent myself. And because I had just faced this huge fear of mine, which was that I did have bipolar disorder, that was my biggest fear at the time. It showed me that I had nothing to be afraid of. I had just faced my biggest fear and I was totally fine. So I went down to New Zealand and I started really embracing adventure. I learned how to ski. I started whitewater kayaking. I started going on multi-day hikes every weekend. And these activities that I was finding myself immersed in are combining exercise, time in nature, time in community, all of these things that are so naturally healing. And I didn't realize at the time that was going to have such a huge benefit on my mental health, but ultimately it did. That year, I also went and did my yoga teacher training, which again combined the exercise piece with mindfulness, which are two more things that I really uphold as my priorities for my mental health journey. And it just really felt like everything so effortlessly connected for me. And I understand that it's not necessarily like that for everyone's journey. And that's why I know it's my duty to share this medicine, to share this wisdom, to share my experience with the world, because when you find these pieces and you start to put them together to build a lifestyle that facilitates healing, you can find true happiness without using medication.
That's awesome. It is so true that everything is absolutely related. And what I've learned throughout my years of being a competitive athlete and spiritual person is that when you are in tune with your body, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, then you can truly listen and know when something is wrong or needs tweaking. I can't even tell you how many injuries I've prevented by listening to my body and taking preventative action. So I noticed earlier you said that you didn't want to become a traditional therapist. What is the difference between a therapist and a mental health coach?
That is such a great question, and actually one that I love to speak about. So a lot of clients that come to me have actually been seeing therapists for years, and they're saying, I've been in therapy and it's helpful to some degree, but I still feel stuck in this same place. And essentially the difference is that therapy looks backwards. Therapy looks at what has happened to you, what's happened throughout your family history and in your life to get you to where you are today. And how can we help you be okay with staying where you are today? The difference with coaching is that we say, okay, here's where you are. Here's where you want to be. How can we take tangible steps to get you where you want to be? And it's not that the stuff that happened over here is irrelevant. Of course, that's important in what made you who you are. But, with my program, we spend a week or two out of 4 months talking about what's happened to you. How can we accept this? And now let's move forward. How can we actually get you to where you want to be and to a place of thriving and true happiness and healing?
Okay, so you're saying the difference is shifting the focus from how did we get here to how will we get there, and pulling from the past as needed to help inform, but not necessarily focus on it. So I keep hearing you use the word journey, your mental health journey, which to me implies you're still traveling. What are your thoughts and feelings on the subject? Do you feel this is a journey that you're still on, or have you reached your destination?
It is absolutely a journey. It's a journey that lasts a lifetime and then some. When it comes to healing, there really is no destination, but it's ultimately about when you reflect and look back on the day, the week, the month, the past few years, and think about how am I genuinely feeling? I can now say that I am genuinely happy and in love with myself and confident. And 12 years ago, 15 years ago, when I was deeply in the thick of it, no way could I say that. So to me, that's the evidence that this healing journey is working. And it's still something that I prioritize every single day. My mental health is absolutely my number one priority because I know that my brain has the capacity to experience a very broad range of emotions. I've felt, as high as it goes, and I've seen the deepest darkness. And I know I'm never going to be in either of those places again because I uphold my self-care, which is my number one priority. So I have what I like to call my pillars of mental health that I take into account every single day when I'm planning my day or my week. And these are exercise, nutrition, sleep, meditation and mindfulness, time in nature and connecting with nature, connecting with good humans that I love and that love me, and properly taking self-care time and time for myself. And when I have a look at different times in my life when I maybe wasn't feeling my best, or I maybe noticed a bit more anxiety coming up, or any of these emotions that I'm kind of like, something's not right, have a look at these 7 pillars. And normally it's, oh, well, maybe I haven't exercised in a couple days and then I wasn't sleeping as well because I haven't exercised. And then I chose to eat, some junk food. And you start to really recognize how all of these things are so connected. And when you're on top of them and acting from a place of self-love to, uphold these pillars in your life, it really does create such a beautiful transformational healing journey that just ripples into every facet of your lifestyle.
Yeah, I get that. And I love that you're doing this video from nature. I mean, it looks so beautiful and peaceful there. I remember during the early months of the 2020 COVID pandemic, I was working diligently because at the time, everyone needed technology. And one day I realized I was irritable. I was restless. I wasn't motivated. I was drastically overweight for the first time in my life, and I wasn't happy. What I realized was I was feeling like if I took any time for myself, I'd be letting somebody down. But in all actuality, I was letting myself down. Now I prioritize self-care because honestly, I'm more effective, more efficient, more compassionate, intuitive, innovative, and creative when I'm fully nourished. And honestly, that's what my family, friends, employees, and clients deserve.
It has been such a delight having you here with us today, Carleigh. Do you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
Ultimately, the most important thing that I can tell you is that you are worthy of healing and you can do this work. It's not always easy, but it is so simple. And if you're not sure where to get started on a natural healing journey, download my free guide to get you started, to start cultivating some self-love, to start moving past your anxiety and insecurities. I promise you can do this. And I know that because I've done it.
Aware, anxiety is nothing to be ashamed about. We all feel it at one point or another. It can come up in the smallest of things. Am I going to make it to my appointment on time? To something more serious. Is my worst fear coming true? Do I have X health condition? To anything in between. Will they like me? Will I be able to pay my bills on time? Etc. No matter what you might be anxious about, Carleigh has a free gift to help you take the first step towards overcoming anxiety. I highly suggest you take her up on this amazing offer and take that first step towards overcoming any anxiety you might be feeling. The link is on the screen for those of you watching, and we'll put it in the description for everyone. Carleigh, it has been such a delight, honor, and blessing having you with us today. Thank you for all of your wisdom and for showering us with your light and words of inspiration.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
I want to thank our listeners for tuning in. If you like what you heard here today, please do like, share, and comment. We are trying to get WyzeCast to be a hot new release. So if you feel inspired, if you felt moved, if you felt called, if we earned it, please do like, share, and comment. It is free for you to do so. It really helps the podcast grow, and we really do love your engagement. This was another episode of WyzeCast, the show that elevates the voices, shines the light, showcases the gifts of our heart-centered guests, and amplifies the positive difference they're making in the world. If you want to learn more about WyzeCast, you can visit our website at wyzecast.com. We drop 10 episodes every month on the 21st, so you can binge watch or spread them out over the month, whatever suits your mood and lifestyle. Once again, my name is Melanie. It has been my pleasure being your host today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your engagement. And I invite you to come back and join me once again for our next episode of WyzeCast.